What's up, everybody? We are coming back today with a Always Train Faith edition, and this one is going to take a look at Genesis chapter 37. Now, this past weekend at one church, we took a look at the story of Joseph, again from Genesis chapter 37. So basically, he's this guy who has a couple older brothers, and he has this dream where he sees himself basically ruling over his older brothers, and he's talking about this and telling his brothers how he's going to be the guy and he's going to be the man. His older brothers don't like this at all. And so to make a long story short, Joseph's older brothers sell him into slavery. Now, a couple important things to point out about this is that Joseph's dream was from God. It was a God-given dream that he would be in this position. So you can imagine his thoughts, his feelings when he's sold into slavery. He basically has to go to like a prison. He's at the lowest of the low when he was given this vision, or had this vision that was not going to be his future. Or in this particular dream that he had the idea of how he was going to get there. He had the idea of how he was going to be taken and put into this position, and it definitely didn't involve what ended up happening with his brothers. So Pastor Greg did a great job of mirroring this story with his own experience with trying to be a professional football player. He wanted to be a professional football player. He had the dream of being a professional football player, and then that did not come to fruition when he finished his career. And he was, not that he didn't try hard enough, not that he wasn't talented, he just didn't have what it took to be a professional in football. And I had a similar experience with track and field. It was always my goal to be an Olympian. It was always my goal to compete at the Olympics for Team USA. I wanted to be a sprinter. I wanted to be like Carl Lewis, Mike Powell, a lot of the other famous sprinters back in the day when I was kind of growing up and super addicted to watching the Olympics every 4 years. Now here's kind of where the turning point happens, because is this dream that you've had about yourself or where you want to be or what you want to accomplish a self-service hallucination, or is it a God-given dream? Another great way Pastor Greg put it is, do you want to do great things with God? So is my vision might have been like, I'm going to win Olympic gold and I'm going to do it for God's glory. Or for Greg, maybe it was going to be, I'm going to be the best running back in the NFL, and I'm going to do that for God's glory, and this is going to bring him glory, and this is how my dream is going to work out to do great works and great things in the name of God. Or the alternative question to that is, do you want God to do great things through you? All about trusting the purpose rather than necessarily just the process. A lot of times we look at different processes like you have a predetermined outcome. So if I do A, I'm going to get B, right? If I work really hard, if I train 2 times a day, if I go to bed at 9 o'clock every night and get 14 hours of sleep, I am for sure going to be in the Olympics. You're assuming that process is always going to get you the outcome that you want. But if you trust in the purpose, that there is a purpose in every step you take, and that God does work all things out for the good of those who love Him, then you may not end up in the destination that you originally thought you were headed towards. Greg puts us a really good way in saying that we are trusting the process as it's related, or it has related to your purpose. Don't just conclude that everything's gone wrong because it doesn't look right in your head. If we look back at Joseph, he spent 22 years from the time he was sold into slavery before that dream started coming to fruition. When he saw those bowing to him, that wasn't about his self-glorification. That was about him serving people that ended up needing help. So, in a long story short, again, if you read that chapter and you read this story, you find out that Joseph's brothers end up needing to go to Egypt, to where he was sold into slavery, in order to get food. Their family is starving. They have nothing. And who do they run into who's been put into power through this 22-year process that he spent there? He becomes one of the high advisors in Egypt, and now he's the one who's in charge. So his brothers end up coming to Joseph for help, only they don't know that it's him at the time. They don't recognize him. Too much time has passed, and now he has a choice to make. Is he going to help the brothers that sold him into slavery, Or is he going to just banish them, kick them to the side, kick them to the curb, and forget about the fact that they're her brothers and that they need help? And spoiler alert, Joseph does help out his brothers. He does help out his family, despite being sold into slavery by them so many years ago. But he understands now the process and what the dream actually meant, the vision that he was given, and it took him 22 years through this different process to fully realize God's purpose and the destination that God wanted to have him at. So the dream includes you, but it's not all about you. Oftentimes that dream is much bigger than you. So Pastor Greg mirrored this by basically pointing out the fact that while the Super Bowl and while the NFL was not the end destination, all of the things that he learned from his struggle to get to that destination, in the process to get to that destination, he learned about teamwork. He learned about working with others. He learned probably about disagreeing with other people and how to deal with those situations. He learned about probably being coachable. He learned about all the things that have led him to be an amazing pastor at a phenomenal church down in Gehenna, where now he coaches, he teaches, he executes, he leads. He has a vision for all sorts of people, projects, and things that help out not only the city of Gehenna, the city of Columbus, the state of Ohio, and throughout the world. So that process that he went through to potentially want to be in the NFL was not necessarily the destination that he was headed to, but the purpose in it was to get him to where he's at today and to be the leader that he is today in the church. So in my own story, I can see the same thing, right? I can see the same predestination or destination that I thought I was going to arrive at and not ending up getting there, arriving at a different destination, seeing the purpose in it, seeing the purpose in the process that I went through, that rather than track and field, I moved through this CrossFit space and attained some of the same goals. But the greatest things that I picked up, or I have picked up along the way, is all of the things that I've learned from that experience with being able to coach others, having setbacks, having injuries, having things not go my way, learning how to persevere, having all the knowledge for being a healthier individual, I can now impart to others and have found it's a far greater service to others and a greater ministry that I can have to others than simply standing on the top of a podium. While that's amazing, that's awesome, and that is a place that should be glorified and is just awesome to see, understand that I take way more pride in the different ways that God has taken me through this community and taken me into different areas that I can help other people through all of the things that I've learned. So at the end of the day, when we look at this story, the thing I want you to ask yourself is, are you being forced to maybe make a change in direction, maybe a pivot? Everybody has gotten to a point or a place where their services are no longer needed. What you are providing is not good enough anymore, and you have to change direction. You have to look at a different destination. That doesn't mean that the process that took you to where you are right now at this low point is worthless. You can still use all of that process in the new direction that you might be heading towards. Hope you guys found this message helpful. I've got the sermon down in the description below from One Church. Put any questions you've got down there as well, and we'll see you guys next time.